welcome to Paradigm Playbook, a podcast for entrepreneurs in the business of sports. Your hosts, Dave Kozak and Steve Cook, are business owners, successful entrepreneurs, sports enthusiasts, avid readers, and longtime friends. For years, they've read every business book on the market and built successful companies with what they've learned. This podcast will give you the critical takeaways in just 15 minutes a week. It's a quick and easy playbook for building a winning sports business. And now, here are your hosts, Dave and Steve.
We appreciate your feedback. If you enjoyed the podcast, please leave a review. If not, we'd still love to hear from you so we can improve. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Paradigm Playbook's podcast. I'm your host, Dave Kozak, alongside my co-host, Mr. Steve Cook.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, David.
Sir?
David is revved up and ready to go today.
I'm running hot today. There's no doubt about it.
Okay.
Good first meeting, going right into the good podcast recording and then on to the rest of the day. So Today we're going to talk about a subject that I think doesn't get enough, it just doesn't get enough talk. For whatever reason. And my 20 years in business, this is something that I am back to, which is marketing by the numbers, right? And we talked in our last episode about why the numbers matter. And when you start working on your business, you really start digging into the numbers and you start figuring out the leaks in the tub or the holes in the baby pool, you know, and the where things go out and how you can correct it. I made a very strong statement probably, 5 years ago, that if I were to start another business, I would take whatever the budget was to start that business. I would take 30% of that budget and I would drop it to marketing right away. And when you have a business that you're trying to scale or grow, this is probably the place you need to spend the most time measuring, right? In my opinion, if you're not paying attention to the marketing, paying attention to what you're doing numbers wise, and you have those, Steve, your favorite KPIs, if you're not paying attention to the marketing KPIs, you are losing sight at point number one, which is the gaining of clients or the attraction model that you have.
So I agree with you. I think one of the issues that we have is you'll get people to buy into spending money on marketing. How to spend it, where to spend it, what to spend it on, and how to actually formulate a marketing plan or a campaign. And I think this is where it gets difficult for the entrepreneur that's an expert in something, but maybe not expert in marketing.
Yeah, if I had it to do over again, I would have really paid attention in all those marketing classes I took in college. But those are the ones where I was like, you can get a B without doing much, but the person that got the A+ in that class gets a different thing. And I'll also add, and I want to get back to what you said too, because I think too many people, they put together a marketing plan, especially early in business. You need to put together a singular campaign, and then you need to test that campaign and put together another campaign. If you put too broad of a marketing model together, it is very hard to achieve the outcome you want because you're sort of pulled thin in that regard. This is where I will lean into outsourcing. This is where I will use other companies to help. And today more than ever, marketing is it's kind of an infinite growth space because, if you go back to the traditional marketing, Steve, you had your print mail or your print advertising, you had your telemarket, and you had your TV and radio, right? Well, now you have all of those things that have all blossomed other industries. I mean, now you have your standard cable, you have your streaming services, you can advertise in all of those. You can actually dial into the audience that you want to gather. You have your social media, you have your print stuff, you have your referral marketing. You have all these things, and it's just like a giant web now, right?
So if I had paid attention to that class of marketing back when I was in school, it wouldn't do me any good now.
No. And mine was right at the cusp of the origin of Facebook. So I don't know that mine, but product, price, place, and promotion is what I remember.
So we've had a kind of a flip on that theme in recent years to where we get people say, what's your marketing campaign? Well, I do Facebook. Well, it doesn't all happen on Facebook, although social media is important and there's a way to leverage it and there's a way to use it, but it's not all you do. But it's not all about, running ads and commercials either.
100%. And I learned a very valuable lesson throughout COVID with Facebook and with social media marketing. We spent more money than I'd like to admit in advertising on social media. And ads on social media, first of all, you can become your own competition, which is problem number one. So you can spend money on ads, and then you have 2 ads running, and your 2 ads are the ones that people are seeing, and you're sort of double paying for the same opportunity.
Same clicks.
Yep. The second piece is your distribution of ad and the effectiveness depends on the algorithm that measures the engagement of the client on the ad. So you can spend money and they can force it to a bunch of people, but those people don't click and do anything with it or breeze over it. It has a diminishing return, and then the algorithm sort of, pulls back and yeah, you can up your spend, but then you get into the competition. And so social media is a platform, and whether it's Instagram, whether it's Facebook, whether it's TikTok or whatever, you have to create a content campaign at the same time you create a marketing campaign. You have to deliver to people things that they're interested in and hit them where they are and then draw them in. But if you don't get the like or the subscribe or the follower, then your voice becomes muted because you don't have the ability to spread it. So you can't just say, hey, we're going to spend $30,000 on Facebook this year and it's going to change everything. You can spend the $30,000, but in between those spends, you better be adding content that people want to listen to and look at. That is, you're almost giving it away, right? You're almost giving away your knowledge and putting yourself out there as an expert. Another very good option there is sort of the infotainment option, where you're giving them information, you're entertaining, and you're then drawing them in from there. But spending on social media ads alone.
Well, there's a couple phrases that are used consistently today. Content, you mentioned content. Content marketing is one, and content is where you're sharing information that leads a customer to a conclusion that includes you.
Yeah.
So I think that's all content marketing is, but it's beyond features and benefits, and I think that's the part of it. If people wanted features and benefits, they can Google it.
Yeah.
So I think that the difference is, in today's world, by the time you reach a customer, they know what they want to know. When they walk in the door, they know your offering. They know the horsepower of the car you're selling. They know what kind of computers you have. So I think that's it. The other phrase, and I'll let you weigh in on this, that I'm a big believer in is target marketing.
Yeah. So
in target marketing, in my way of thinking, it's you take a significant number that you've derived from your operation and target the audience for that category or that revenue stream, and that's where you're going to go. So it's a very narrow but continuous marketing.
Yeah, without question, target marketing is huge, and your ability to they call it a pixel on Facebook. I call it a doppelganger. I call it a likely client, right? The first thing you have to do is establish, who are you going after, right? Like who is the person that writes the check? Who's the person that spends the money, right? If we're talking about gymnastics schools, right? Are you marketing to the 5-year-old child? Or are you marketing to the mom or the dad? How are you?
I think there's 2 targets. There's the user and there's the buyer. So you have to attract both. A demonstration class or a test drive is effective with the user.
Yeah.
A explanation of the process and the net return is more, saleable to the buyer. So I kind of think you have to go through both, but I understand if you're going to tell me they're not in the same campaign.
Yeah, you certainly can't. You can attract and get a good experience from the user. If we stay on the youth gymnastics piece for a minute, or youth baseball, whatever it is, if you have to market to the adult to create the opportunity for the child to have the experience, right? Because the adult's going to drive them, the adult's going to pay for it. But once they get in there, that child's got to have a great experience. That child has a great experience. Who's opening up the pocketbook immediately?
Yeah. So, I mean, and I think this conversation kind of goes spidering out in all directions. But all of a sudden, you're saying, well, the marketing doesn't end when the customer signs in. The marketing begins. So you're already beginning with the second sale, third sale, the continuous sale, and you need to market equally hard for the continuation of business as the creation of business.
100%. And I think, and that is a huge point, Steve. And I think this is one that really matters. And again, when I talk about those KPIs and you're talking about what you're measuring, man, this is where you're measuring stuff, not only from the original or the origin of the campaign, but throughout the campaign. So marketing crosses over in today's society to customer experience. Customer experience is part of marketing, right? So use the example in my business, right? Someone walks in the front door, they have been marketed. They found us, they saw an ad, they came to a workshop, they came to a seminar, they learned something, they were referred to us. Then they sit down with someone and they buy our package for college planning, whatever it is. From the moment they write a check, the engagement marketing happens, right? The engagement, user experience, customer journey ensues. And that customer journey is constant communication going to them, telling them where they should go, what they should do, what the next steps are, right? That's all marketing to have a fulfilled client at the end and to create retention, right? And that's the big transition as you go from the attraction model to the optimization to the retention, right? And so you want to attract a client in, then you optimize your client, meaning they're buying more than one good or service or product. They're staying for multiple classes. They're staying for sessions. They're getting better as they go through it. And then optimizing the client is that sort of continuation.
And there's times when you will market a second revenue stream within the first. So you're going to, you've got them coming in here for classes and that's all good. And it's okay to hit that group with a birthday party marketing campaign or summer camp marketing campaign. But the book that I like best is the one-page marketing plan, because I didn't pay attention in marketing class. I think I took one, but the one-page marketing plan literally does that. It gives you one page, and it said, and there's 3 stages to the marketing campaign: the before, during, and after. So one, it's a cold prospect. That's the before. That's your targeting.
That's your attraction in my model.
Right. So the during, they've shown some interest and you're trying to lock them in. And then the third phase is what you're talking about, the customer experience, where you're trying to get them to sign up for something else, expand their thing, extend their stay, whatever.
I'll give you a perfect example of that, right? So we gain clients. We typically get the oldest student in a family, right? And we're helping them in the college admissions process. We're helping the parents plan financially. And then every year we run a sibling campaign, which is where we offer a sizable discount to clients that have one child in our program to bring the second child into the program and to help them. And so that ours is a twofold. It's the announcement, and we do it on a campaign basis for 60 days. And if you sign up during that 60 days, you're getting a 35% discount on our retail price. That's a real discount. If you come in otherwise, you get a 10% discount. So for those 60 days, we're putting a firm timeline on it. We're marketing it to the families that are clients, and we're trying to get the next step in, right? So that's that sort of additional campaign based on what you're doing. Simple example of your side is, and I think anybody, and I want to say 2 things here. The first is, anybody that has a small sports business or a small business, start with a newsletter. Start with a single page newsletter that just lists out the things that are upcoming and that are the offerings and the prices, so people are aware of it, right? You don't have to, the campaign doesn't have to be highly complex, right? The KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid, still applies to this stuff as you're starting out. And that goes back to my initial comment of, don't go too broad, or you'll have a newsletter, you'll have all this social media content you got to create, you'll have marketing mail lists that you have to sort out, and that requires a substantial team to put all that together. Start simple, but keep the communication going in it.
Are you ready to learn and discover new ideas? We want to hear from you. Share your questions, thoughts, and ideas for the Paradigm Playbook Podcast. We value your input and want to create episodes that match your interests. Leave a comment or send us an email at playbook@paradigmplaybook.com.
A good example of going too wide. And so everybody knows I track all these different revenue streams, and I like that. And then I market to a specific revenue stream. So I'm going to use a swim school as a model here. And swim schools offer everything from, baby and me, first time in the water, drown proofing and all that stuff, to competitive athletes, stroke training. All that can take place in the same body of water. But if you put all that into one advertisement, you're killing one market or both.
Yep.
And there's probably 3 to 5 more markets within that pool. But so target marketing says, okay, if we want more mommy and me, then we're going to a different place, a different message, and delivered in a different way.
Yep.
So I think that's what makes it target. And you can't, so I like the idea that we're bringing preschool into our baseball academy. So there I can market to the local elementary school. I can engage a local teacher or gym teacher. I have this campaign built around going to there. That is not going to get me the guys that want to train to go to Phillies fantasy camp. So that's a different marketing.
Yep.
But you can do both. The first ad that most sports people run is a one-page flyer that says everything they do. And I really believe that's a mistake.
100%. When you get into it, this is where it comes back to the numbers, right? And Steve, I'll use the example daycares use. Daycares, when you bring an infant to a daycare, the ratio that they're supposed to have is 4 to 1, right? It's the opposite in sports. Well, not the opposite, but you can have 10, 12 kids. You have to look at the profitability of the segment. And if you have a highly profitable segment and you're trying to develop the rest, great. Focus on the highly profitable one where you can generate multiple classes out of that same thing. So understand your numbers to then define what you want to go after, right? So if I want to go after the most profitable piece of my business, why am I advertising something that, we do, they'll learn that we do it over time, but this is where I want to live. And I'm not saying profit's the only measure of that, but
it helps.
If you're going to, don't make me laugh. If you're going to turn around and expand your business, you certainly want to know what you're going to expand with and who's going to afford the expansion of other sides, right?
So, okay, so this is great. So one of the numbers we talked about is that gross profit by category.
Yeah.
So in the general sports world, real generally speaking, but the higher the level of the athlete you're training, the lower the profitability. They take up more space, require a higher level, higher paid coach. So the profitability of that segment is the lowest, yet it's where we spend most of our marketing. So we talk more about the advanced level of our athletes than trying to get the 4-year-olds into the gym. The other number that I love to watch is retention number. And that's so in the sports world, it's real clear. How many years are they with you or how many months are they with you? And if you do a great marketing campaign and bring in 100 15-year-olds, it's definitely not as valuable as bringing in 100 5-year-olds.
Correct.
Because of that retention value and how many years you're going to do that. So I think the marketing plan, one of the number one things that your marketing plan has to look at is the profitability of the program. So if you're starting a new business, literally start from the bottom up. The smaller they are, how do we get all these little kids in there that will eventually be high level or maybe high level athletes?
And let me just,
but we're not starting up here.
Let me flip it.
Okay, go ahead.
Right on you. I started in the property and casualty insurance, home and auto insurance. Now, I don't know how many people know about this, but in a lot of carriers, auto insurance is a 6-month premium, right? So you pay for 6 months and then the policy renews and you pay for the next 6 months. Well, not all.
I did not know
but
that.
A lot of carriers are 6-month auto premiums,
okay.
Annual homeowners premium. So when I started in that business in 2007, 2008, I forget when, but sometime in the late 2000, I don't even know what you say. The
early aughts.
Yeah, the early aughts. There you go. Someone said to me, sell auto, attack auto. The home will come after that, but the auto is where your gravy is, because that's where one renews and constantly pays a commission on a more regular basis. And so we attacked auto. That was what we wanted, right? We led with auto. We got the homes. All that stuff happened, but auto drove the success. So we knew that as long as we were writing a certain amount of auto policies, we were getting the residual and the renewal on those autos that gave us the ability to afford the marketing to go after the other pieces. So lead with what you do well and what you can sell easily. That will give you the budget and the funding to then turn and say, hey, we want to penetrate this segment, or we want to create this opportunity. Then you can afford to do that stuff. But if you focus on page 10 of the book and your business is on page 1, you're not going to be in business on page 5, right? Start where you know you can be effective and where you know you're profitable. Then you have to test other areas as you go along the way. So when I talk about marketing the numbers, you have to, and you have to take a test of where you are today, and you have to measure where you are today versus where you are in the future based on the spend, based on the reach, based on the program. Those numbers are critical to marketing campaigns. If you cannot validate the results of a campaign, it's probably not a good campaign. So start with the end in mind, which is, hey, I need 100 5-year-olds in the room, or I need 100 auto clients, or I need 100 customers that are in this box. Go find them, measure the success of that campaign, and determine if you'll spend more money, less money, or alternate the campaign in the future.
So I love this, the path you're taking here, because, my idea about getting people in early and, making them friends. This is the whole Seth Godin tribe thing. It's like the diffusion of innovation as you get the early adopters, and then they convince the other people. But once you get them in there, it's like McDonald's doesn't have to advertise fries. Once you buy a burger, then you want fries with that. So, our business is no different. We're working with sports. So we're doing a consulting project with a sports club. Our goal is to go in there, do an evaluation, help you improve the value of that business, and then you're prepared to sell, launch, scale, whatever you're going to do. But the sideline of it, and the way Paradigm Playbook and Paradigm Financial are connected, there's still people that we're dealing with that need wealth management. They need insurance. They need, so it all ties together. So, as much as Dave and I, you may think we just do this because it's so much fun. There is a business behind this that we get there. But the good thing about this business, and the exciting part of our marketing, is that every customer we have is the winner, because they end up getting a lot more out of it than we do.
Correct.
And I feel the same way about sports. So Dave and I talk all the time. The benefits that we got from sports as kids,
huge.
In my case, 100 years ago. In Dave's case, 50 years ago. So those benefits are with us today. Yeah. So what you're doing, those of you who are running a sports facility, you've got to think of the global impression that you're making and put that much excitement into the marketing, going in the direction that your numbers tell you to go. Yeah. And then that's kind of the cycle of life right there.
Yeah. And then so I think a great point, and I'll sort of end with this thought from my side. If you're on page 1, attracting new clients, you don't have to have the retention program built at that point. Focus on the attraction of the clients. Once you get the attraction, then transition to the retention, then go back to the attraction, right? You've got to be a little bit nimble in what you're looking at. But if you're focused too far out on customer experience, things like that, you miss the attraction up front, right? So make sure you're looking at the numbers to plan on what you need to do today, and then make note of, okay, once we achieve this objective and we get that 100, we've got to keep that 100 so that next time we run a campaign, we've got 200. Mm-hmm. What you don't want is to handle not handle phase one because you're so worried about retention and you only get 25 people out of phase one and your retention is 25 and you've got to go back to the drawing board again. Focus on meet the client where they are, meet your business where it is financially and what it can do marketing wise.
Yeah, I just think we need to be careful that when we go to attraction marketing, and there's a little bit of a misconception with attraction marketing. So for those that aren't familiar, or at least maybe I'm not, but this is my view of attraction marketing. We're putting enough information out there that's going to attract people to contact us.
Yep.
And there are some that feel that it's the opposite of proactive. I'm going out to tell you a message and I'm going to convince you and then carry you back. So I think the hybrid of the two is your attraction marketing that gets their attention. And then you give them enough of the experience that you pique their curiosity and then you start reeling them in. And that's when you can do it. But if you don't know the numbers, and then it's so easy to start going out there and attracting the top level athletes from every other program and why you're better. And you're pulling customers in one at a time rather than pulling in a Cub Scout troop or a Girl Scout troop or a hockey team or anything like that. And taking your marketing to where your numbers are telling you you're going to make the most money. So everything goes back to what we did last week on the numbers.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Then getting on target.
And that's part of running a business. That's the entrepreneurial component, right? Understand what the numbers tell you and move forward.
Yeah, but I think it's the fun part of it.
I agree. I love it.
Yeah, so the marketing side of it, I was more a salesperson than a marketing person, but later in my career, I started doing the directing of the marketing. And in today's world, marketing sales are all meshed together. It's all the same thing. So if you're a marketing person, you better be able to deliver the story. And if you're a salesperson, you better know how to attract people to your business.
All right, guys, that's it. I know we jammed a lot in there. We'll probably have to expand on this next week because I think there's a couple more directions where we can get to some of the next level stuff.
Yeah, I think we can go deep into, some keys to marketing and what we can do. And maybe we dig in specifically into the sports market and some of the things we do. Those that know me say I swear by the test drive. So maybe we start with the test drive next week.
There it is. All right, everybody. That's Paradigm Playbooks Podcast. Thanks for listening.
Okay, make it a great day.
Are you ready to learn and discover new ideas? We want to hear from you. Share your questions, thoughts, and ideas for the Paradigm Playbook Podcast. We value your input and want to create episodes that match your interests. Leave a comment or send us an email at playbook@paradigmplaybook.com.